Welcome, everyone.
And welcome, everyone. I just wanted to reiterate that if you do not wish to be recorded, you can turn your video screen off. This event will be recorded for other students and faculty and folks in the community who were not able to Zoom in today. We are delighted to have our 5th installment of the ARTIVISM Fall Series, weekly series. If you're interested in attending any of our additional ARTIVISM events, The Power of Art for Social Transformation, please just Google. The easiest way to get to the website is to Google Adelphi and ARTIVISM. I'd also like to introduce our student ambassador for the day, who is Connor Everard March, and he is the senior criminal justice major, sociology minor, and he is the secretary of the Criminal Justice Club here at Adelphi. It is appropriate that the event today is scheduled on what has been renamed at Adelphi University Indigenous Peoples Day. And I don't even know if Carolina and Argy know this, but the group that was able to galvanize enough attention to this issue was led by a former student ambassador, Olivia Mybe, who was our very first student ambassador last February. And so today, Connor is going to introduce our speakers, and I am delighted that he agreed to help us on a day off when all the other students are out frolicking. Connor, even though it looks very luxurious in his background there, has agreed to help us out and serve today. Take it away, Connor.
Hello, everybody. My name is Connor Everard Marsh. Like Professor Lake said, I'm a senior here at Adelphi, and I am a criminal justice major with a minor in sociology, as well as being the secretary of the Criminal Justice Club. So with that being said, tonight in my role as the ARTIVISM student ambassador, I would just like to share a little bit about some of the things that I've done in terms of art and creative events that I've been a part of. So one of the first things that I was a part of here at Adelphi was the Clothesline Project. It was last spring, and the Criminal Justice Club kind of organized it. We had some other clubs and people helping, but pretty much what we did was we have a lot of t-shirts from years past, as long as creating new ones and even masks in order to help spread the message of the Clothesline Project, which is, it's based on abuse, be it physical, sexual, and it's meant to be something that, it's meant for empowerment. Like, you could write down some things that you're involved with. The shirts may have certain colors with different meanings, and a lot of us it was actually very shocking considering like the midst of the pandemic, but we all got involved. A lot of people were there on a very, very windy day, shirts blowing everywhere, and it was overall a very good success. And last week, although I could not attend, I helped organize the Chalk Up event for the Criminal Justice Club, and I helped come up with some of the ideas, as well as picking some of the images we would like to display. So with that being said, I would now like to introduce our presenters for today. First, we have Joyce Sanchez Espinoza. She is the founder and director of Intercultural Cardboard Press, Cartonera Intercultural, and currently serves as county committee member for District 37 in Queens of New York City, as well as being the secretary of Family Preservation and Committee in National Action Network in New York City, chapter parent advocate for Parents in Action, a Queens community-based non-for-profit organization and community. She also hosts a weekly radio show, Parents in Action, at Radio Impacto 105.5 FM, as well in New York City. And she also led the visual arts program of Centro Cultural Barco de Papel from 2016 to 2018, managing several art projects for the artistic community in Queens. She studied intercultural pedagogy and anthropology in Linköping University and Stockholm University, Sweden, from 1996 to 2000, and visual arts at LaGuardia Community College, New York City, in 2015. So Joyce has participated in several academic art events, art shows as an interculturalist visual artist and writer. Her work is related to social justice, causes in cultural and political identity, such as border songs, a poetry book titled, published in 2016, and The Birdman, Waranka Limpi, published in 2011. She currently serves in the Collective Coalition of Artists for the Amazon. I would like to apologize in advance. I haven't spoken Spanish in a while, but La Amazonia Ecuatoriana no tiene bandera política, es suelo patrio y patrimonio nacional, donde yace la soberanía del pueblo. Quien no la defienda no es digno de llamarse ecuatoriano. Jesse Artiste. And the another quote, Ecuadorian Amazon, or well, this is the translation for you guys. The Ecuadorian Amazon does not have a political flag. It is the homeland and national heritage where the sovereignty of the people lies. Whoever does not defend it is not worthy of being called Ecuadorian, by the same Jesse Artiste. And as well, we have another speaker today who is Mr. Rafael Navarrete Espinoza. He is a jurist, sculptor, artivist, and founder of Human Rights and Judicial Observatory Vigilantes de la Justicia. 2006 founder of Vigilantes de la Justicia newspaper. 2009 Heroes and Heroine Sculpture. 2020 Sculpture the Key. 2021 Sculpture Peñón del Rio. 2021 Murals Cultural Walk. Change the Page, Duran, Guayaquil, Ecuador, October 2021. So in 2006, Rafael, with other legal professionals, founded the Constitutional Judicial Oversight, Vigilantes de la Justicia, as judicial oversight, with the idea of counteracting as an artivist against judicial corruption. He performed rat trap outside the court in the city of Guayaquil in 2009 as a symbol of catching corrupt judges. Succeeding in this process to prevent questioned judges from joining the national courts of justice, Rafael, as a jurist and artivist, has initiated various lawsuits against corrupt judges and local authorities since 2006 in different matters, including the environmental issues. He collaborated in the book Unjust Democracy, Ecuadorian Amazon, Unconstitutional Practice, and Neocolonial Policies. So with that being said, I would like to welcome Ms. Sanchez and Mr. Espinoza.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much for the presentation. And yes, you did it very well, your Spanish. So Connor. Yeah, so I'm gonna get started with the presentation for today. And I just want to state that and clarify that I'm down here in Ecuador at the moment. And I came down here for a small project, but very specific to work in the Amazon. And it has gone bigger and bigger, like the situation here, the different activities that I have gotten engaged with. So I think I will prolong my stay until December, probably, or January next year. So right now, what we would like to present is basically the book that is called Unjust Democracy, Unconstitutional Rights, Unconstitutional Practices, and Neocolonialism, Neocolonial Policies in the Ecuadorian Amazon. We are several artists, artivists, that have been gathering in New York City to protest with our art against the corruption that we have found, not only in the case of Steven Donziger, which maybe some of you may have heard of, but also other situations that are going on in Ecuador. We have the process can summarize pretty much, and specifically has been centering the attention on one specific, I would say one specific company, oil company, which is Chevron. So our efforts have been on attacking Chevron for the irresponsible ways and manners they have been conducting themselves across the world, across the globe. And specifically with Steven Donziger's case. That being said, took us also, I have to say that took us, took our attention and start to dig into the judicial, the court, the courtroom, right? And investigating judges, how they are conducting themselves, and how the case, Stephen Donzinger's case will have an impact on the Ecuadorian Amazon. It's a very symbolic way. Right now, the situation is that Stephen got he got sentenced on the 1st of October, this past October 1st, 6 months of jail. He will have to serve, and that definitely is a very huge negative impact on the case in general for the Amazonian communities and the plaintiffs, the original plaintiffs of this case. Rafael Navarrete, that is a co-speaker today, he has been involved in judicial and court watch activity in Guayaquil and in other cases, and he's very familiar with the Chevron case. He was involved in 2006, but he will be able to tell the story himself. He has, he's also part of the book that that summarizes the struggle that we are, that we understand that, you know, in the way that the struggle that that we understand that the indigenous communities are going through, specifically because in the Amazon, it's very unconstitutional right now, the ways that the state is behaving. They are attacking the constitutional system with different decrees and different laws and different announcements that the government has been doing. The very first one is the decree numbers 95, that it was issued this past July 7th, 2021. That decree states that the government of Guillermo Lasso, the current president, will be increasing the oil production in the Amazon. And by that, without taking into account the damages that zone, that area is already suffering. And he has not made an offer whatsoever. No, and we actually think that he's not even thinking about it. Like, he hasn't even mentioned about repairing the damages on the soil, you know, in the entire environment in that area. But however, he's still thinking, right, in producing and increasing which will increase also the stress of the soil and the communities down there in this area in the Amazon. So that's one decree that we are right now fighting against. And also there is there's another decree, decree number 125 or 125, and decree 166, which are against the article 442 from the Constitution, the Ecuadorian Constitution, that states that no bilateral contract or treaties can be celebrated that will attempt the soil and do an impact without taking into account the communities. And that this decree is stating that that Ecuador will go back to the CIADI, which is the organization that will be dealing with conflicts, or, you know, any conflict or any bilateral or any conflict that can arise between the communities and the state, the Ecuadorian state, and the oil companies. And the way that we are fighting that is against through the legal system. So we have put into 2 demands or lawsuits against the government. So that's pretty much right now what that summarizes the book and summarizes our legal activists and also as artists. I will pass on right now to Rafael, and I believe that Carolina will be the interpreter, so she can explain a little bit, and I mean not explain, but translate Rafael.
Hola,
Hello.
hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Buenas tardes.
Hi, good afternoon. How's everybody? Good afternoon.
Es un gusto para mí estar en esta reunión y poder tratar algunos temas que de una u otra forma nos unen. Bueno,
It's a pleasure for me to be here today in this meeting and to share some topics that unite us.
yo represento la Veeduría y Derechos Humanos Vigilante de la Justicia acá en el Ecuador, y aproximadamente en el 2006 que se constituyó al amparo de la Constitución del 98, y luego con la Constitución que entró en vigencia en el año 2008. Y es precisamente esta Constitución que es garantista de derechos ampliamente por la naturaleza. Como
So the
nuestra mesa.
Constitutions from 98 and del 2016 también, ¿verdad?
Sí,
And 2016.
2006.
Excuse me, 2006 constitute the rights that we're going to be discussing today. Despacito, por favor, ¿ok?
Ok. Y es así que nuestra Constitución contempla 4 artículos que garantizan derechos de la naturaleza. Es decir, es una de las constituciones más garantistas, que tanto así garantiza derechos que se le estableció un capítulo especial con 4 artículos, ¿no? Desde el 71 hasta el 74.
So from 1971 to 74, this Constitution spurs 4 main articles in regards to natural rights, and is very emphatic on those natural rights.
Es así que esta Constitución nos ha permitido de una u otra forma ejercer derechos establecidos en esa norma y en el derecho internacional.
So it's because of this Constitution that we can execute rights and international rights according to what is mentioned in the Constitution for natural and environmental rights.
En ese sentido que nos ha permitido actuar, y es así que hoy en día estamos planteando una acción de protección en contra de la primera autoridad de la 5ª ciudad más grande del Ecuador.
So because of that, we're basing it there to go against the first biggest authority in la quinta parte, medio?
Es la 5ª ciudad más grande del país.
In the fifth largest country, city in the country.
Y es así que estamos planteando una acción de protección por la deforestación que se ha dado en un cerro que es un símbolo de la ciudad de Durán, que está al frente de Guayaquil, que es la capital económica del Ecuador.
So Guayaquil is the economic city of Ecuador, and Durán is nearby, and it's there that this area has been deforested, has suffered deforestation. And Ms. Sanchez, help me out if in case I'm missing out any of the translation, please, okay?
Y es así que estamos en colaboración con Joyce Sánchez, constituyendo una agrupación llamada Bosques Protectores, ¿cómo se me fue el nombre? Guardabosques de Durán. Es decir, la finalidad es empoderar al ciudadano en el tema de sus derechos para que se los pueda defender desde la óptica de la naturaleza o el ambiente.
So Guardabosques de Durán is an organization that Ms. Sanchez and Mr. Navarrete have created to give voice to the inhabitants of Durán, to basically fight for the rights and the rights of their environment and the protection of such.
Es un poquito complicado plantear este tipo de demandas en esa ciudad, puesto que de una u otra forma casi se está convirtiendo en lo que es México, la zona donde opera el narcotráfico. Es decir,
it's a bit hard to talk about these topics in this region because we can compare it to some sectors in Mexico where somewhat.
Es decir, algo así como Sinaloa, y también en ese sentido ha habido una administración por parte de la actual autoridad que es hijo de una alcaldesa anterior, es decir, han administrado esa ciudad por aproximadamente 25 años y no han podido poner el agua. Sin embargo, se han dado los recursos para ello y hasta la presente fecha las personas que viven en Durán, al frente de una ciudad como es la capital económica del país, Guayaquil, no tienen agua.
So unfortunately, the parallel is like with Sinaloa and Mexico and the cartels, and also the leading family in the region has been there for over 25 years. They have had the resources to have running water, and they have not done so. And even at Quito, I'm sorry, even in Guayaquil, currently they are experiencing water shortage. So if I may extrapolate, this might be pertaining to corruption in the government, correct? Es corrupción del gobierno.
Exacto.
Sí, basically that is what he's mentioning.
Es en esa línea precisamente que estamos haciendo diferentes actividades con artistas en los murales en las paredes de la ciudad de Durán, donde hoy en día están pintados con propaganda del partido político que representa la primera autoridad y que ni siquiera estamos en procesos electorales. Es decir, ha habido una contaminación visual en ese sentido, y es por eso que estamos reuniendo algunos artistas para que sean parte del colectivo que estamos constituyendo con Joyce Sánchez, con la finalidad que se involucren en los temas, se empoderen en función de lo que establece la Constitución y la ley.
Entonces, para aclarar, en la ciudad ya hay varios murales de artistas que están pro del gobierno, pero ustedes están buscando a otros que hagan como la contra.
Bueno, nosotros estamos en ese proceso, estamos proyectando realizar, intervenir 5 murales con un actor principal de la ciudad de Durán, que es conocido como Araña, ¿no? Y estamos en ese
¿Esos
proceso.
murales ya están hechos con artistas?
No, estamos trabajando, ubicando los artistas ya tenemos los bocetos y estamos ya coordinando el tema para que probablemente la próxima semana, más tardar, esté arrancando el primer mural.
Okay. They're working on creating murals to fight all this through art and to give voice to the community and the artists in a visual sense throughout the city with the murals. And they already have some sketches for them and are going to start implementing them soon.
Para que tengan un poquito la idea, el primer mural va a ser un tren, que es la identidad del Cantón Durán, pero que no está operativo, no está funcionando. Y dentro del mural se establece en un 3D que sería una mano de una de las personas que está en el tren, es decir, invitando al ciudadano común y corriente a subirse al tren, a cambiar esa ciudad en función de lo que debe ser.
So, for example, one of the murals could be of a train that was a symbol of Duran, but unfortunately the currently is not working. And one of the visual components of this potential mural is that hand inviting the onlooker to join, to come on board, meaning like, come on.
El segundo mural está encaminado a dar talleres de capacitación a un grupo de niños de la población de ese cantón con unos aproximadamente cinco artistas para que se enfoquen en el tema de la lucha ambiental a favor de la naturaleza y que cada artista tenga un grupo de 5 o 10 niños que intervengan esas paredes, una pared.
And the second one is to call for action in regards to workshops to empower children and share with them their environmental rights and the power that they have to fight for their environment. So they're hoping to match up about 5 children per artist so that they can start working in this initiative.
El tercer mural va encaminado al tema de Texaco Chevron, que creo que es de amplio conocimiento por ustedes, ¿no?
So the third one will be in regards to the Chevron case that I assume is of your knowledge, like that you are aware of it.
El cuarto mural estaría encaminado en función de lo que está sucediendo en Peñón del Río referente a las demandas que estamos planteando.
And the next one will be in regards to all the claims put in Mentón del Río, me dijo?
Peñón del Río, el tema de las demandas.
Peñón del Río, with all the demands that they're voicing in regards to all this that is happening.
Otro mural va encaminado a reconocer, estamos en contra del aborto, ¿no? Porque hoy en día se está sacando de la normativa penal, se estaba permitiendo el aborto a diestra y siniestra. Es decir, nosotros estamos por principio defendiendo la vida. Si defendemos la naturaleza, que aparentemente para muchos es un órgano inerte, ¿por qué no defender a la vida desde su concepción? En esa línea estamos, ¿no?
Also, another mural that they're working on is about against abortion, because if they're talking in regards to protecting the environment, they would also like to protect life from inception. And currently, there is a lot of abortion going on, he says, left and right, and they would like to voice this concern as well.
Y el último mural, digamos, por decirlo de alguna forma, en esa lista, porque la idea es hacer un paseo cultural para que el ciudadano se pueda empoderar de sus derechos, y la idea es que el quinto mural o el último mural en esa línea sea referente al agua, el cual estaría intervenido obviamente por los artistas y con la participación de ciudadanos de diferentes sectores del Cantón Durán.
So the last one will be about water and the importance of protecting it. The whole hope of this series of murals is to empower the individuals in the community through the visual representation of their rights to know and to fight for their protection.
Entonces la visión nuestra como Veeduría de Derechos Humanos Vigilante de la Justicia, en concreto sería a crear un paseo cultural en Durán para expresar a través de esos murales. La otra sería generar o crear la organización Guardabosques de Durán, y nosotros como Organización de Derechos Humanos estamos prestos a colaborar en esta coalición por defender la naturaleza y por ende al ser humano. Estamos prestos a sumarnos a cualquier actividad que así la organización demande.
So the two organizations were the Bosques, y la otra, ¿cómo me dijo, perdón?
El paseo cultural, que es el espacio donde se van a intervenir los murales, y como lo que yo represento, Vigilantes de la Justicia.
Vigilantes de la Justicia, both, they hope to create this almost like cultural walk, as if you were to imagine, to voice these concerns and to empower the citizens, and particularly life, and protect all this scope that is encapsulated through the visual work. Ajá.
Hasta ahí mi intervención, salvo que quieran algo más, ¿no? No hay problema.
Any questions or any concerns, please, I'm here, and let me know.
I have a question.
Of course, please, go ahead, Ms. White.
Thanks, Carolina. I'm curious about how the mural making and the final murals will be documented, because this would be powerful not only for the community, but then sharing out to the broader global community.
Entonces, la profesora Maguire pregunta que cómo van a documentar la creación de los murales, y que esto es muy importante para la voz y el compartir en un futuro todo este trabajo que ustedes han estado haciendo en la comunidad.
Sí.
Bueno, indudablemente esa parte nos está ayudando muy comprometidamente yo y Sánchez, ¿no? Y los diferentes actores que de una u otra parte, de una u otra forma tenemos incidencia en ello. Entonces va a ser documentada, va a ser hecha con videos. Ah, y algo que me faltaba. Estamos pensando en desarrollar en el bosque Peñón del Río un SOS con seres humanos, para que desde la parte superior un helicóptero o un dron sea filmado llamando la atención a la protesta en contra de la deforestación a nivel mundial.
Y quería acotar, I'm gonna, Carolina, you can translate that first before.
Sure.
Yes.
As he says that Ms. Sanchez is helping with that, with the recording of the mural making, and also he mentioned an SOS, and also a drone that it will be filming this intervention about all the deforestation that is occurring there, for documenting the process.
Yes, and also the other instrument that we will be using, or medium that we will be using to socialize the mural, it's the newspaper. So the way we're looking at it, and the proposal is, as you guys may be acquainted with the way that artists work, usually they have a catalog of their work, their artwork. But we have decided that instead of making like a catalog, we're going to do a newspaper or like a fanzine. So we're going to be using that format because the newspaper anyway is going to be coming out like once a month. So in the first edition, we will be covering the murals and the artists, the community artists that, the artists that live in that community that will be participating in the work. I myself as an artist, I will be also part of the murals, not only producing, the work, but also like collaborating directly, with the art and the sketches. Some of the people that we have invited, some of them I do know because I lived here in Ecuador before, so I've been reaching out to those old friends. Some of them are new people, completely new that that live in this town called Duran, where the murals will be taking place, right? And of course, we have social media, right? We have lives and covering with cameras, good images and videos. So we will be sharing that. But I think the most important thing right now is the digital, because the newspaper, not only that will be like physically, you will have like a hard copy. You can get it like in different spots that we will place the newspaper, but you can also find it online. And that's something that, because the way we see it right now is so dangerous. The political situation in Duran is so dangerous at this time that the fight cannot become centered in only one person, because we know, unfortunately, that the major will attack. This person that is in politics is a hardcore person, and he will actually threaten anybody that wants to threaten or is attacking his government. So in that sense, many of the meetings that we have had with the community members, with the neighbors, it's some of them are very frightened, and some of them, really want to cover their even their identity when they want to, so so from that perspective, we need to work like we need the exposure. We need like we need to make it like even more international, so that he it's more spread. The any counterattack that he will like, or any retaliation that he would like to take against the group or anybody that he thinks that he should. So it will be more difficult for him or for his people to attack the activist or just just simple citizens from the town. So that's why the social media and covering, also making it more like digital or using the internet, like the platforms in the internet will make it more difficult for him to target one specific person. So that being said, I think you guys can be very sure that you will have a coverage.
Can I just add to that? Like I'm working with a partner and a whole group of people, an international group, and we're developing this online site and network of practice where we can elevate and share this kind of work. And I'm just very interested to follow what you're doing and talk to you further about it after this, if you're interested, because we're also in my work straddling like spaces that want word to get out, but then the danger inherent in
Yes.
activism, even and through the art making, like it all becomes very dangerous often.
Yes, Cindy, I completely agree with you, and I appreciate your feedback. I have to say that some artists have been a little bit scared of how to come out and come out with the art. So not everybody, because of the danger that it represents, they really, they feel that this is something that they can do. So it's it's a very specific calling for somebody that will, you know, take that challenge, you know, and come out and say, you know, this is me and I will stand for this. So it's, you know, there are a lot of artists out there, but it's a very personal decision. And for example, for the murals, let's say, I think I have the document here, maybe I can bring it out, but for the murals, that because there's danger in that town, we had to go to the district attorney, and we first filed we filed a complaint, let's say, and we are asking the district attorney to investigate why the murals it's plagued and saturated of propaganda, you know, like for politics. Is it that the major is paying for this, and from what kind of money he's using? And our stand is that we are not doing politics here. Like we want the walls, and we're taking the walls because we want to make it beautiful, and we want to empower the people from that zone, and, you know, getting them to come into the walls too and paint them. And also, we don't want more politics. Like we want to beautify that area, and also give the people, like through the visuals, like a new vision of empowerment, how they can see with new eyes, right? This town that it has been during 25 years, they have been without water. So how would it be, or what does it take to have water right now? How are we going to build it together? We need to be unified. So that's what we're going to use these. It's like about 5 or 6 walls for about 50 or 60, 50 or 50 pies, right? 50, like 50 foot, something like that. That's like that 50 feet or 60 feet. That's the size, right? But I'm gonna pass it on to Rafael right now. If he wants.
Por favor, ¿cómo se llama la compañía? Perdón. Hola, Carolina.
Aquí estoy.
Carolina, ¿qué opinas si de pronto me traduce para saber que existo?
Ay, aquí, claro. Disculpe, claro, no. De lo que están hablando es básicamente que la profesora Maguire también está involucrada en algunas de estas iniciativas, y quisiera conectarse con ustedes después de una manera directa, y le pregunta que cómo hacen para lidiar con la situación del peligro que implica hacer este tipo de trabajo en una zona donde tenemos la corrupción política, ¿no? Señora Sánchez, de verdad, ampliamente eso es lo que estamos cubriendo. Entonces la señora Sánchez le contesta que tenemos que hablar acerca de los derechos visuales, ¿verdad? De lo que es abogar por la comunidad, darles ese empoderamiento de hacer más bonita el área, que no estamos hablando de política, sino que es de darles esta libertad a través del arte, ¿no? Y a través del arte, pues, meterles un poquito a poco todas estas ideologías, ¿no? El poder que ellos tienen.
Bueno, indudablemente quisiera que por favor transmitas mi voto de protesta por no escuchar en Spanish la conversación. Pero bueno, más allá de todo eso, yo creo que nos mueve la convicción de hacer lo que creemos que debemos hacer, porque no podemos estar inertes y pasar desapercibidos con toda la problemática que está sucediendo.
He said definitely that he agrees, that apologies, he wants to also chime in, and he says that we cannot just let things continue as they are. We have to stand up and fight for what we think should be and could be, right? That we cannot be just inert individuals walking by, that we have to be active and proactive in these situations.
Bueno, nosotros básicamente como Organización de Derechos Humanos tenemos una incidencia en diferentes sectores a través de charlas de capacitación en Derecho Constitucional. Y hoy en día estamos encaminados en el tema de los derechos establecidos en la Constitución referente a la naturaleza, ¿no?
So they're now fighting for the constitutional rights for the environment and that's what they're focusing on. So that you have to emphasize what your rights are. It's not that we're discussing here something that it's by an individual. It is constitutional. So we're just applying what is there.
Entonces, bueno, esa es nuestra línea de acción y como reitero, estamos prestos a colaborar en cualquier planteamiento que permita lograr de una otra forma la reivindicación de derechos. Estamos en esa
And
línea.
Professor Maguire, he says, "With pleasure to collaborate with all the initiatives and future initiatives, your initiative, and any others that might come in ways that are pro putting into practice these constitutional rights that are being oppressed in certain areas."
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Dice que se van a mantener en contacto.
Thanks for sharing this work.
Y gracias por compartir este trabajo.
Thank you guys also. Thank you for the platform, Ms. RG and Carolina and all the whole team of ARTIVISM for being there and for being able to, enabling us also, the artivists, to expose what, different types of work in different parts of the world.
Muchas gracias.
We're doing it all together.
Gracias por el espacio de poder compartir el trabajo en el que estamos acá presentando, en el que estamos involucrados y en crear esta comunidad global al compartir nuestras experiencias, ¿verdad? A través del artivismo.
So Joyce, do you want to show us your PowerPoint and then we can get back to the discussion, because this is huge. I myself have so many questions. I'm actually a little afraid for everyone working openly on all of this too. Being an artivist, activist, it's a scary thing right now. So do you want to share what you have, and then we'll go back to discussing what we were just...
Nada más le quiere compartir la presentación PowerPoint para que nos diga un poquito más acerca del tema y que también está preocupada acerca de todo el peligro que conlleva esta práctica, ¿no? Entonces ahora la señora Sánchez va a compartir la presentación PowerPoint para darnos un poquito más de contexto acerca de este problema que se ha causado en el Amazonas.
Yes, unfortunately, we have had technical problems down here, and we're not able to share the presentation, but we do have a digital copy of the book that we will love to send to each and one of you guys. So we can share it. You can, it's a Kindle version, but not, so you can, we can send you the PDF and you guys can have it. We are not really it's a nonprofit, making the book has been more, it's part of our artivist efforts. It doesn't have any, it's not aiming to profit. It doesn't aim to profit, but to share the work and to make it, and to inspire people, especially youth. And also down here, not only the international youth in general, like the American youth, I've been in New York, and so, so it's a little bit inspired to, aim to that, but also the youth down here in Ecuador. But we will love to share it with you guys. And maybe I can, I'm not sure I have the emails of all of the 14 participants in this Zoom, but I can definitely send it to RG and Carolina. And from there, we can please make sure that everybody receives the copy of the book, and then we can take it from there, like any questions, anything. We are actually spreading, we have let me see, I think I have it around here.
Está hablando acerca del libro, señor Navarrete, que es sin fines de lucro, que les gustaría compartir la versión digital con los que estamos acá presentes en la charla de hoy y conectarnos vía internet con preguntas o comentarios.
Yeah, so this is the book, and this is the back of the book. And so, but we have a digital copy. We don't have too many of these, but we have passed we we have left it in different spots around the city, around towns, where people can we just donate them. We have donated the books, like in coffee shops where youth go, you know, where people just can read them. There's a University of the Arts here. So we have just donated the book like around the area. Some of, you know, and one or two bookstores have like some samples, there's some copies, you know, for people just to buy, but it's like, you know, very not nonprofit. So so we are there to share it, just to share it with anybody that wants to know about it, and to, you know, wants a free book.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. I also would like to ask, if possible, could you give us a little contextual information for those of us that might not be 100%, involved in the topic per se, of what truly happened there from the beginning? We know what you're doing now, but what happened with Chevron? How did it affect the Amazon, the local people? And also the event that you had here recently, I think it was this past summer, with Mr. Dunsinger and the protest about his home arrest. If you can share just a little contextual background on the case itself, and why is it that we're in this situation that we need to still continue advocating for the rights of not only the environmental rights that Mr. Navarrete is mentioning, but also the rights of the Amazonian people, that is their home, right, that has been, affected so deeply. If you don't mind, please. Entonces yo le pregunto que si nos puede compartir un poco de detalles acerca de todo lo que ha sucedido allá desde el principio, qué fue lo que pasó con Chevron, para los que no conozcamos, lo que está pasando con Dunsinger, con su arresto domiciliario, y por qué estamos en esta situación actualmente de que tenemos que seguir peleando por los derechos del ambiente, pero también por los derechos de las personas en la Amazonía.
Yeah. So pretty much what happened, the situation started with Texaco Chevron coming down to Ecuador, and they used very cheap, let's say it like that, cheap methodologies or ways to extract the oil, which generated like an impact, immediately generated impact on the environment, and to the point that there was we had oil in the soil. It was like as deep as, you know, you will go like 10 centimeters, and you will put your hand inside a puddle, and you would, or a pond of water, and you will take out oil, and that obviously contaminated the waters. The people were not able to use the land as they used to in agricultural ways and fashions. The animals were dying, and a pretty good part of the we were talking about maybe 30 or 40,000 people that had to relocate themselves and change their ways of living because of the situation, because of the contamination. Apart from that, we have there were repercussions on the health of these people. These people were dying, literally. They were dying from cancer. Children were having like rashes on their skins, right? And so there were a lot of awful situations, you know, on this these towns, like in this population. And what happened is that Dunsinger came down, and what he did practically was empower the indigenous people. That is his major. That's where I would say, in my case, that's the way I see the biggest task that he did, or his mission was to empower the Ecuadorian people and let them know that they were able to sue Chevron. And he became, the way we see it, he became a leader. He was not able to represent legally the Ecuadorian plaintiffs because he is not Ecuadorian, and he did not have, obviously, the license in the country, right? just as you have one in the United States, he was not able to represent legally, but he was a consultant. He was working and he was training the people, training them for him, and serving as a guide to the Ecuadorian attorneys and training them and letting the, and he was like strategizing a lot. So obviously Chevron had had their eyes on him because they knew that he was this American, attorney that knew how Chevron works, still knows how to attack such a company. And that's why he is being, that's why he is not forgiven for. He's not forgiven for that. And he's being held as a symbol. And he almost, for not only for attorneys, for human rights attorneys or environmental defenders, but activists themselves, like to say, like, you can't attack a company like Chevron without coming, without getting harmed by it. So that's pretty much the message. And we have so much, what do you call this, documentation from different newspapers. The RICO case that's the way it's called, the Dossier case, where he is being accused of corrupting the judges down here in Ecuador. We have the evidence that the judge that testified against Stephen was committing perjury. He admitted this judge admitted in the public eye, in the press here in Ecuador. He admitted that he accepted money from Chevron to lie and to lie about how he sentenced and why he sentenced in favor of the Ecuadorian plaintiffs. And that's all they needed that's all the federal judges needed in the United States, in New York, to treat Dossier as a fraudulent attorney. And one of the things that we have been considering at this time is bringing this man to justice, like this judge that committed perjury. So that's pretty much summarizes a little bit of what went wrong. It was, Chevron practically corrupted the judge to lie, and he admitted that he was offered not only money but the visa and the rest, to have a legal status in the United States with his family, right? In exchange of testifying and lying, like having a false testimony on Dossier and not only Dossier but also the lawyers here. The only difference is that the Ecuadorian lawyers were not there. There's no legal strength for them to be pulled back or pulled to the United States. So the only one that has been like really taken to the courtroom it's Stephen Dossier. So pretty much that summarizes a little bit of the problem, and the fact that Chevron has not paid a dime up to this date, it kind of let us know that they're not going to pay. And it has been very difficult for the Ecuadorian plaintiffs to get that sentence, to make it come true, right? So what we have as activists, what our standpoint is, like, at this point, we have a reality. The reality is that the soil is damaged, that the environment is damaged, that the people are still suffering of the consequences. And what we should do is just try to, not wait for Chevron to pay, but now putting some pressure on the government so the government can take some action. So that's the way we are kind of like, that will be like kind of our solution, or the way we want to, try to come around or about the problem, because right now we don't even know how long it would take for Chevron to pay. We don't have that exact time. We know also that the Ecuadorian attorneys have been pursuing. I mean, they have been putting demands or lawsuits against Chevron in Argentina, in Brazil, and in Canada, in order to get that payment back. But it hasn't been possible. So the way we see it is that it probably will never happen, probably. And we just have to come up, but the problem is still here, like ecologically. And that's what, so that's a little bit of the situation. And we just don't want more of these situations or similar situations to repeat, to happen again. That's why we're standing firm in holding the authorities accountable and putting pressure on the government right now, so that they can be aware that they have to defend the environment, the Ecuadorian environment. Nobody else is going to do it. Like nobody else than their own people that own that territory that are the ones that have the calling to the first call to defend their environment. So that's pretty much the background of the situation.
I wanted to interject because Connor is going to open it up for questions after we take a quick poll. And also Connor is in a class and he's reading a chapter in one of the books we're reading for class on multinational and corporate corruption. So he'll be able to speak extensively on this tomorrow night in class. I'd also like to suggest, I posted a few films. One was Crude, and I remember I went to when they opened up the film a few years ago, and it was excellent about what had been. If you need more context, I also put up an article that you can read. There's a lot of interesting stuff for the criminal justice students who are on here now. Bizarre, very novel, that's a generous term, legal approach. Chevron, instead of, they were found guilty in a Ecuadorian court, ordered to pay. They decided in a very Trumpian fashion to just countersue. And so they came up to New York and went to a judge, one specific judge, and he could not find a prosecutor. The Southern District of New York refused to take the case because it was baseless. So he hired a private attorney that has ties to Chevron to prosecute a case against an American citizen, which is, I don't know if everyone on the Zoom call knows how unprecedented that is, that you would have, as a book that I've used in past classes is called Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. And he used the term to refer to this sort of situation as the corporatocracy, when basically ostensible democracies are ruled by corporations, multinational corporations, and their allies in government. And this example, this one example, which is horrendous, and I really encourage you to watch the films just to see not, the environmental damage, the damage to lives, the cancer rates, the children born with all sorts of, birth defects and health issues. And a corporation will just has the resources to just wait till everyone's pretty much either dead or lose their will to fight back. And that's something that is so important that we fight back on. And art, as we've seen in so many examples, is one of the ways you get people to pay attention and to say, like, wow, I didn't know this was happening. And this artistic rendering and the murals and everything else is one way to get people's attention and to get them to tune in to really important legal issues. So Connor, would you like to take it away at this point?
Yeah, first off, I'd just like to say thank you to our speakers today, both Ms. Sanchez and Mr. Espinoza. It was great. And I'm really appreciative of you guys taking the time to be here with us and explain what's going on. And also for next week, there will be another ARTIVISM event, and the presenter will be, I'm sorry if I butcher the name. It's, I believe it's Irene Linardet. I don't know.
We'll take it. Irene, we'll take it.
Yeah. Irene, okay. Linardaki joining us from Greece, and she will be presenting Occupy Art Project. Once again, sorry for the pronunciation of names. But before we actually formally open the floor to questions, like Professor Lake was saying before, I believe Sarah will be putting up a short poll momentarily. I don't know if it's up right now, but we just ask that you just answer the 2 questions. And with that being said, I will also just like to inform all of you some other ways you could get involved with the whole ARTIVISM, the weekly updates, stuff like that throughout Adelphi and just in general. So yeah, I have a whole list of the contact information here. But so for more information, you could check the website, which would be https://www.adelphi.edu/artivism, and then another slash. Or you could follow on Instagram at ARTIVISM for Shared Humanity, and the 4 is in the number 4, not FOR. So that is, once again, ARTIVISM for Shared Humanity. Or simply just Google ARTIVISM and Adelphi, and it should come up. And we also, there's also a YouTube channel, which is the same as the Instagram. It is ARTIVISM for Shared Humanity. Once again, the number 4. And we are also hosting an open call art installation for all creative thinkers on the Instagram. So if you'd like to get more involved in the ongoing initiative, just contact the ARTIVISM team. And to do so, you will just email artivism@adelphi.edu. So like I said before, we'll open it up to questions. So if you do have any questions, feel free to either use the raise hand option on Zoom, if you guys know how to do that. If not, you could unmute yourself or just type some questions in on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Connor. If there are any questions that we kind of peppered a few questions in already, but I wanted to open it up if anyone had a question they wanted to ask. I know some people are in circumstances where they may not be able to chat. So if you would like, you can just type in your questions and we can read them out loud.
I would like to say, let's give a shout out to Connor. What a wonderful student ambassador, right? Clap, clap. And our presenters as well. Excellent work, everyone. Thank you. I know we're a little bit over the time, but if you don't mind, I shall be okay if we stay for a couple more minutes. Is that okay with everybody? If I may, Ms. Sanchez and I have mentioned a couple of topics that, if it's okay, I would like to bring to this conversation as well, and perhaps to anyone on the floor that would like to put their 2 cents in. I will say it as a rhetorical question. What would have happened if this was somewhere else? You know, if it wasn't an Ecuadorian court saying, Chevron, you have to pay, but rather another court elsewhere. Let's say, all right. And then second, what we have been mentioned with Ms. Sanchez is all the decolonizing. So any thoughts about decolonizing and how the colonial process has perhaps affected all this that we're discussing today?
Carolina, I would appreciate it if maybe you can translate those questions. So maybe because some of them, I think Rafael would be able to answer them. So if you would.
Of course.
Thank you.
Pues le digo que muchísimas gracias al estudiante Connor por su gran participación de hoy, al igual que usted, señor Navarrete, y la señora Sánchez, por una magnífica presentación. Y menciono que en tiempos pasados he tenido una conversación con la señora Sánchez que involucra temas de decolonizar, ¿verdad? De lo que ha sido la colonización también, y también qué hubiera pasado si en vez de ser una corte ecuatoriana la que le hubiera dicho a Chevron tienen que pagar, hubiera sido una corte de otro país. ¿Cómo sería la situación actualmente con todo eso si lo vemos de esa otra perspectiva? Entonces, he puesto las preguntas a toda la audiencia acá, a ver a quién le gustaría opinar acerca de lo que es la colonización, decolonización y cómo esto afecta el caso que estamos discutiendo. Connor, you have a question?
I just wanted to maybe like put in my 2 cents for the first one you asked about if it was happening somewhere else. When I heard it, I kind of automatically thought of like a place like in the U.S. because like I don't know, is Chevron a U.S. based company? Does anybody know that off the top of their head? Because
Yes, it is.
They are okay. So like, let's say something like that was to happen within the United States. I feel like they wouldn't just take it so lightly, like the judiciary actions taken, them wanting to impose fines, anything that goes against Chevron, because the fact that they're based here, and I'm sure a lot of the profits and whatnot they make come from here, I'm sure they would take it a lot more like to heart, I guess, even though like it's kind of an organization and whatnot, a corporation. But I feel like they would take things more seriously if it came from like, say, a place like here rather than like Ecuador, because although like I'm sure they have tons of business in Ecuador, I feel like the basis of like I don't know, I feel like they just don't care about like the environment for starters, and then secondly, I feel like it's just kind of like a footnote to them. They're like, how much does this really matter to us, being that we're not totally involved in, say, Ecuador or another place?
Si me permiten.
Does Rafael want me to translate it, what Connor just said?
Yes.
Arlene?
Dice que no sabe qué tan interesados están aquí en Estados Unidos en los temas del ambiente, ¿no? Señora Sánchez, ¿algunos otros puntos que le gustaría a usted mencionar que dijo Connor?
One thing I might add, just touching on what Connor mentioned, for those who are unaware, in the United States, and I think this came out of the Nixon administration, but we have something called a super fund. And so when a national or multinational, I think Chevron's more of a multinational corporation, and that's part of how they get away with stuff. But when they pollute, or when they've been shown to damage and pollute large swaths of area, and they are legally required, they're prosecuted and legally required to clean it up, and they don't, they drag their feet, the government goes in and cleans it up, in theory, and then charges the corporation 3 times what it cost to actually do it. And that would be a way, what Joyce was referring to before about the foot dragging. You know, the people in the Amazon can't wait. It's been 30 years already, and whole generations have died or been made sick. not to mention the livelihoods lost as a function of this. And we're talking an area the size of Rhode Island. I don't know if people can grasp. We're not talking about like, oh, my backyard, they polluted in my backyard. We're talking a massive area, not to mention the fact that we all should be concerned because the Amazon, you've heard the saying, it is the lungs of the world. It's not like not that there should be anything wrong with this, but you hear sometimes people frame these issues as, oh, you people, you tree huggers, you love nature. There is no life without oxygen. And the Amazon is the lungs of the world. And as we destroy our lungs, it turns out, we're all harmed by it. So yeah, Chevron gets to make short-term profits and their CEOs and their stockholders, yay. But if you can't breathe, you can't spend that short-term profit built on greed. And when we have governments, not just, governments around the globe, but in the United States that are willing to take the side of a corporate interest rather than uphold the law. And by the way, international law, if a court in Ecuador rules, you're not supposed to just be able to ignore it. We have this pesky thing called the universality of law. It doesn't apply to, there's not separate law for some people versus others. And so it may seem like it's like, oh, this far away thing that we don't need to be concerned about. If you're concerned about breathing, or plan to have children, or plan to be alive in 30, 40, 50 years, this is something you need to pay attention to.
Yes. I would like to add, and I appreciate. I would like to add, and I I would like to add to what Ms. Lake is saying.
Okay.
Okay, it's because we are in the same room, so okay, so basically what I was saying is that part of our efforts, not only as artists, right, through arts, is just being more tangible with the cleaning and the reparation and restoration of the land. So as artivists, the coalition has been preparing the terrain, the territory, we have gone into a dialogue with the community and see how we can start, for example, bringing clean water and exploring the options. It's very costly. It's very costly. It's not easy, and we have a few organizations that are interested in bringing clean water to that area, but we still have to look into the fact if they are prepared enough, if they're prepared to clean oil, because oil is not easy. It's there's you can clean bacteria, you can clean or other stuff, other kind of pollutions, but with oil is so heavy that it's kind of difficult. So, but yes, thinking ahead and moving forward, because that's the part that, as the Coalition of Artists for the Amazon, we see this situation with Chevron. Like you said, Stephanie, there are two sides to this. There are two sides of the coin, right? We have the legal situation in the United States that brings attention, that makes us Americans think, like, what is going on here? Like, and from that point of view, the Coalition of Artists is looking into Dossinger's case as a court watcher. That's one of the plans that we're taking right now. We're planning to go to DC. There are people in New York City that we are working, because that would be the next step. let's say US based, like talking or thinking in the approach that we're going to take or how we're going to move forward, right? How are we going to deal with this kind of corruption? What are we going to do about it, basically? That's our question right now. What are we going to, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to deal with this? And how are we going to move forward as activists? What are we going to do about it? And firmly, I believe that we need to work in what is called, something that is called court activism. And as artists, we don't have a problem bringing our art into action and being as crude as possible with our art, visually speaking. Visually, that means it could be music, it could be canvases, as we have been working. Like when we march with the canvases, with images, and the raw canvas come out of it, right? They're kind of heavy sometimes, but you know, that's just a detail. So, but yes, so that will be one thing. Court activists, right, through the arts, visual arts, performing arts. That will be one thing. And the other aspect is over here. It's down here. It's another realm. It's the other part that the Coalition of Artists is looking at. I mean, the Ecuadorian people, you know, it's not that they don't care, but that's like, this is like their reality here. Their reality here is that they're living in a contaminated soil. So how is the Coalition of Artists moving forward, or trying to engage, or trying to help or contribute? Well, I just said it, trying to clean the water, work with the government, try to lobby for these people, and try to get the government to make an action, to draw an action plan, design a plan of action for reparation of the soil. We need the government to take action. We need the Ecuadorian government to start to, so from that point of view, from the Ecuadorian point of view, we are saying Chevron was a chapter, and we have to pass the page. We can't stay in the past and looking at what happened, just looking at and just getting stuck there. We need to move forward. We need to solve, and looking forward to implement in making the laws, because we have very good laws down here. Let me tell you that we have a beautiful written environmental law, but as I said, it's only written. It's in writing. It's not being applicable. It's not being applied in practice. So the government is just going over. They're just like walking over it, and they're walking over the people. They walk over because the people, there's not enough cohesion in the society is not completely organized. That's one of the problems that we have here. There's not enough organization, and of course there's also corruption. The level of poverty here makes people just to, you know, at a certain point they start to struggle, they start struggling, and they quit, or they start negotiating. Okay, so a politician comes and say, okay, we want you to shush, or they want to shush them. They want to shush them down. They don't want them to talk anymore. They say, what do you need right now? You need some electricity here, or you need some water in your neighborhood, right? So if you just shut your mouth, you know, for now, we will give you, and that becomes temporary, and that's the way they silence the leaders down here. So we are like Rafael Navarrete is very acquainted with that dynamic. And our role is to empower people and to tell them when we have our meetings, you know, we're there, like we have to go there, we have to go into that town today, like after this meeting, and we just no negotiating. You're not negotiating with nobody. So we keep that fire going on, and try to keep people together. We united. There's no way we're going to negotiate if like, for example, Peñón del Río, there was this Peñón del Río, if one of the city workers come down and want to negotiate with with the group of protesters, right? He said, if you guys stop talking to the press and stop talking to complaining and stop the complaint, we will give you what you want. And that's when we say, no, we're not negotiating. This has to come into light. And if we have to go all the way through and seek accountability, we have to do it. And that's the way, that's the spirit of the work that we do down here as activists. So keeping people like fighting back without just declining. So yes, so that would be one part. And then the other part, as I said, is like moving forward into tangible solutions, like, and lobbying for the government to make an action on this area. And we're trying to look into organizations, international organizations that would be able to repair the soil and, come in to do the work that the state might not be. I mean, it comes to a point that if the state is not going to do it, we need to get it done somewhere, somehow. And that's what the coalition is at. That's where we're standing at this point right now. So I'm here. So there's some members here in Ecuador, down here in Ecuador, and some of them are in New York City. And so we're working all together, trying to see how we can get this big task and try to see if we can get it done. It's not an easy task, and it looks very gigantic. But yeah, we have to start somewhere. And I think that the Ecuadorian leaders in the Amazon, in some way, they are looking into that international help. They are looking forward. They kind of like have their hope, right? In the outer world, like in the international sphere, because not everything can be done, to repair that land. As far as the last time that I spoke to somebody that knows about this, they told me that $9.5 million, which is the sentence which Chevron has to pay, wouldn't even be enough to repair. So the cost is more than that. It doesn't even cover the damage, to repair the damage. So yeah, it's a huge thing. And it's a huge topic and a huge task, as I said. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to add.
We do have one question from Mural Berger Lawrence for what is going on in the Amazon for art besides conventional art. And they're asking, would you also welcome as a form of expression and protest music?
Sure. I would like to, Carolina, can you please translate for Rafael so he can maybe answer that question or answer the other questions as well?
Yes, 1 second, please.
And also, Joyce, when you are going to, when you begin organizing something in New York City with your coalition, make sure to touch base with us again. Maybe we can gather a group of students from here to create art and maybe come down and meet you.
That will be beautiful, Archie. That will be beautiful. Definitely, yes. Yes.
Entonces la pregunta es que ¿qué otro tipo de arte se está utilizando en el Amazonas para crear esta conciencia? Que si se consideraría también la música un tipo de arte que se podría utilizar como forma de expresión para protesta.
Bueno, compañeros, me gustaría tratar el tema en el contexto de lo que está pasando con Texaco Chevron, algo que se mencionó hace aproximadamente unos 15 minutos.
He would like to touch upon a topic that was brought up about 15 minutes ago in regards to Chevron.
¿Lo puede traducir, compañera?
Claro que sí, vamos despacito. Dígame.
¿Lo puede traducir, compañera Carolina?
Sí, aquí estoy. ¿Qué le traduzco? ¿Perdón?
Carolina.
Aquí estoy. ¿Me oyen? Can you hear me?
Ya, yo lo puedo traducir.
Bueno, quisiera hablar del tema referente al caso de Brecht. ¿Cómo nació y por qué se dio? Y alguien comentó por qué, cuál sería el concepto, si no mal entendí, si se hubiese dado la sentencia en otro país distinto al Ecuador.
So he would like to touch upon.
So Rafael wanted to he wanted to add first before answering that question, because the question about the music, there was another question that he wanted, that was thrown out there about what would have happened if the sentence would have come from another court that is not an Ecuadorian court.
Desgraciadamente, en nuestros países subdesarrollados campea la corrupción en todos los ámbitos del poder público, ¿no? Y en esa línea es que muchas veces los gobiernos se entregan a las transnacionales regalando los recursos del pueblo y dilapidándolo para sí, porque son coimados de una u otra manera.
Okay, so what he says is it's very, very unknown that the governments, the local governments from, some local governments, and governments in general give in to this corrupted relationship with multinational companies. And it's like there is like a give and take in a very fluent relationship that they have outside, and in which they are actually giving out, or giving out and almost giving away the resources from these countries that have, they are struggling economically.
Es en ese sentido de que diferentes ciudadanos se organizan, entre ellos Pablo Fajardo y luego Dosinger, ¿no? Y luego de eso viene un proceso judicial a través del cual dentro del Estado ecuatoriano se sentencia con lugar, es decir, a favor de los derechos de las personas que fueron víctimas de la contaminación por parte de Texaco Chevron. Y a través de esa sentencia se logra que se le pague al Estado ecuatoriano o se haga la remediación. Y lo que no quería acatar precisamente la transnacional. Y es por eso que lo lleva afuera del Estado ecuatoriano, y luego de un proceso con un sinnúmero de actos de corrupción, se puede establecer, según ellos, que el juez que declaró con lugar la acción había sido comprado. Pero eso es incoherente, porque ¿cómo podemos pensar de que un grupo de personas que están apartados de, digamos, entre comillas, el desarrollo humano, pueden tener recursos económicos para comprar un juez, y peor sus abogados? Habría que ver de dónde viene el financiamiento de estos abogados que defendían a las personas que fueron víctimas de esa contaminación. Es decir, no existía recursos económicos para llegar a comprar un juez. Realmente lo que se buscó es distorsionar el objetivo de la sentencia y para echarle lodo al proceso legal que se llevaba acá y evitar pagar los millones de dólares por la contaminación hecha en el oriente ecuatoriano.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying, what Rafael is saying is that definitely there was not enough money to actually buy the judge Alberto Guerra, which is the Ecuadorian judge that favored the Ecuadorian plaintiffs. So
es decir, sería como, seguramente ustedes conocen la historia de David y Goliat. O sea, es más o menos en ese sentido, como la gente que no conoce muchas veces el dinero, porque recordemos que la gente que está en las provincias orientales en el Ecuador muchas veces son pueblos no contactados, es decir, no conocen a las ciudades, no conocen lo que es el dinero, y sería incoherente pensar de que esas personas que no necesitan recursos económicos o moneda circulante como dólares puedan ir a comprar un juez con la finalidad de que les dé un dinero, que ellos realmente no les sirven, porque le comparan a las plantas, le comparan a los animales, y eso no funciona ya. Lo que ellos están reclamando en sí, o han venido reclamando durante tantos años, es referente a la contaminación. Ellos no están pidiendo recursos económicos, Simplemente ellos están pidiendo la remediación, que al final del día, aun dándose la remediación, no va a revertirse los daños causados, pero es una forma de poder de resarcir el daño causado en el caso del Oriente Ecuatoriano, ¿no?
Yes, basically what he's saying is that the Ecuadorian plaintiffs, they're not really seeking the money. Like they're not very, that it's not about like in the American perspective, maybe when you go into a lawsuit, you're seeking this compensation, right, for a damage. And that is not something that the Ecuadorians, indigenous people are looking for. They're just interested in the reparation and restoration of the land. So that's their main concern. And even when the restoration comes or the reparation will start, it won't be 100%, and we will have to leave the soil to rest.
Y es de manera similar que pasa en Durán el tema de la explotación, porque el municipio, justificando la explotación porque no tiene recursos económicos, está deforestando, y donde también dentro de ese espacio territorial se encuentran vestigios arqueológicos. Entonces, por poner un ejemplo, un acto de corrupción conlleva llevarse $1 millón, y la explotación del cerro conlleva que el municipio tenga $50,000, o sea, no justifica. Si más vale pudiéramos combatir de mejor manera la corrupción en las instancias del poder público, no tendríamos, entre comillas, que explotar un cerro y justificar la explotación para decir que vamos por el desarrollo de una ciudad, en este caso en el Cantón Durán. De allí la importancia que nosotros, como activistas, como organización Veeduría de Derechos Humanos y ante la Justicia, con diferentes actores sociales del sector de Durán y artistas, queremos incidir en la política pública con la finalidad de que se haga lo que la Constitución y el derecho internacional indica, y que la autoridad se someta a ello. Dentro de este proceso de Peñón del Río, un organismo del Estado, que es el ente regulador de la explotación minera, llámese oro, llámese cascajos, piedra, etcétera, 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 es el ente regulador, y ya lo ha sancionado al gobierno seccional o al municipio que explotó esas canteras porque no ha cumplido con la ley. Es decir, está probada hasta la saciedad que se ha vulnerado derechos de la naturaleza. Por lo que nosotros hemos planteado una demanda con la finalidad de que ese derecho vulnerado de la naturaleza, que valga la redundancia, sujeto de derechos, pueda ser ejercido y ordenado a la autoridad municipal que deforestó y quebrantó ese ciclo de vida, ¿no? Quebrantó, pueda resarcir de alguna otra manera a través del sembrío de árboles. Y también, como mencionaba, queremos hacer un SOS con cuerpos, con personas, y también hacer un SOS con árboles. Es decir, que después que crezcan, con usted, 1 año, 2 años, 3 años, quede establecido en forma de SOS con los mismos árboles.
Okay, so basically what he's saying is that the activists that we are trying to implement in social and contribute to the major scope and the major matter here, when it comes to corruption, is that we are taking baby steps in the courtroom, which is, for example, Peñón del Río. Peñón del Río is a hill that was declared as an ecological reserve by the major. The major's name is Narváez. Well, this Mr. Narváez, Dalton Narváez. He's the mayor of Durán, and he attacked the hill. He went. The city itself attacked the hill and started to do illegal mining. The residents from this area took it upon themselves to make a formal complaint publicly, and then Rafael, through his organization and the coalition of artists, we started a lawsuit against the major. And the explanation of the strategy is that these are baby steps that contributes according to our, our, the way that we see it is that we need to, we need to start making authorities accountable and holding them accountable. And this is a path that is not a common path here to do. Like people rarely like demand the city. That's something that you don't, even though the law gives you that the chance or gives you that opportunity, right? In different areas, that is not something, that is not the mainstream behavior in Ecuadorian society. Like people just don't go and sue a major or sue the city, right? Probably, and most probably the people, they don't know about it. They don't know that this is possible to do. Another thing is that maybe they don't have enough. It's not that you need resources, but the confrontation is so gigantic that they feel already powerless to even start that path. But through organizations like Vigilantes de la Justicia, which is justice, it will be, the translation is justice oversight, right? That is Rafael's organization. They are leading a path. They're opening up a path for other people, for other organizations to start doing that. And that's a very specific way to deal with corruption and corrupted behavior within the what we call this, the body of city workers and the state workers, right? The other question, I will have to translate it to him. La otra pregunta que ellos hacían era que, aparte del arte, del arte visual, si se podía usar música, creo que te lo tradujo también Carolina, si se podía usar música u otras formas de arte para poder combatir la corrupción o ese tipo de situaciones.
Bueno, pensamos nosotros que de acuerdo a la dinámica acá en el Ecuador es un poco más complicado usar la música. Pensamos, o el ciudadano común y corriente está acostumbrado a cuando se vulnera derechos es salir a protestar a las calles con pancartas, mimos, zanqueros, etcétera. Pero con la música como que es un poco complicado articular por el tema cultural, se puede decir, con el debido respeto a diferentes sectores, ¿no?
Yeah. Okay. So he's saying that music would not be an option, or it's not like a primary option to protest. Like people, like culturally, people here are more engaged with marches and rallies, and when people get upset, that's the way they express themselves and express their dissatisfaction. The visual arts are more tangible, like it's more concrete, and in that form of art will sink much better in the consciousness, like in the psyche of the collective psyche, right, of the people, more than music. Maybe because music is more related to fun, to entertainment. Like people usually here are very happy people like have to dance, and music is more connected to a more familiar and friendly environment, more than a means of struggle and a means of protesting. So so he would, yes, summarizing the question or answering the question will be negative. Like music would not be a source, would be like a source of inspiration or to make impact in the people, right? To execute and invite them and invite them to come out, for a rally. So it will be more the visual arts, like in this part of the world, at least, right? So we're talking about specifically the Ecuadorian culture.
Okay,
Uno de los problemas también con nuestro pueblo es que desgraciadamente es pasivo y muchas veces se allana lo que la autoridad le ofrece. Es decir, si mañana...
So another thing is that he wants to say is that the people here are very passive, and they usually comply with the authority. Like they do not subvert. They will just they will just comply and will just follow along for whatever they would just follow whatever the authority is guiding them to do. So if we have a corrupted leadership, right? People will actually follow that example and will take it as the norm to be, instead of maybe reflect. So
There you go. You froze for a
Sí,
minute
prueba
there.
de ello
Joyce.
es que, por ejemplo, en los sectores que hemos visitado en el Cantón Durán, se establece que el ciudadano le asfalta en la calle y, digamos, relativamente es feliz. Pero a veces hay algunos que reclaman porque saben que luego van a tener que romper la calle para poner la tubería con agua. Entonces es contradictorio, porque te mandan una factura de, qué sé yo, te cuesta asfaltar 10 calles, qué sé yo, $100,000, pero después de 2 años tienes que romperla, después 4 años, 8 años tienes que romperla para poner la tubería. Pero la gente se contenta porque hay esa situación. Entonces nosotros como activistas sociales vamos a los sectores, damos charlas de capacitación, y eso muchas veces para nosotros representa un peligro porque somos quienes le estamos dando luces a los ciudadanos para que puedan reclamar sus derechos. Entonces es un poco complicado la dinámica, porque por un lado tenemos una autoridad que no hace lo que debe hacer, y por otro lado tenemos ciudadanía que no está interesada en involucrarse en los temas, porque es la dinámica acá, ¿no?
yeah, so and lastly, he just wants to add that there's like there's like a conflict between community leaders that come out and try to empower and remind the communities that they can do something about the problem. But then at the other hand, we also have to deal with the reaction, and the reaction can be very passive. The reaction could be like hopelessness, and that, well, we are not sure if we can really do this. Like they're not completely sure if they can come out the whole struggle. So it's more about everything comes down to organization, like to keep a structure, and that's part of what we do right now, is holding that structure, trying to give like that structure to that struggle, to that action. Like, for example, we are activists, but like, let's say like that, it's like in levels. Like we are activists, but I directly, for example, I don't live in that town. I'm not affected directly for the lack of water or affected by the actions of a corrupted mayor. But I do connect myself. As organizations, we get connected to the people that are struggling with the matter, struggling with the problem, and we are like kind of supporting them. So it's like it works like in layers, pretty much. So they need the support, and we try to give them that support. At the same time, we also need support. And for example, this kind of work, like for example, with the platform ARTIVISM, becomes a support for us to keep the work going, and to get the connections, and maybe try to get some help, along the way to the base where the real problem is. So it becomes like a thing.
We need to wrap it
Bueno,
up.
un tema importante es que, como ya se ha mencionado, vemos los activistas sociales siempre en un grado de peligro. Tanto así que hoy Joyce Sánchez hemos planteado con Joyce Sánchez la demanda por el tema de Peñón del Río, y esa demanda va en contra de la primera autoridad del cantón, es decir, en contra del alcalde, que quien ha deforestado el cerro y eso significa que compremos un grado de riesgo, ¿no? En ese sentido, pero así toca, o sea, la vida nadie dijo que es fácil, ¿no? Entonces estamos en esa dinámica porque nos gusta, porque estamos convencidos que debemos hacer algo por este país, por este mundo. Creo que no venimos a este mundo solamente a tener un carro, a tener una casa y tener recursos económicos o una cuenta bancaria. Creo que debemos tener un grado de responsabilidad y asumir los roles que nos corresponden. Y estamos aquí, no toca de otra, ¿no? Entonces, quisiera si tienen alguna pregunta en ese sentido para contestarla, ¿no?
So we wanted to appreciate and we wanted to thank everybody again for giving us the opportunity to be here. Stephanie, RG, and also Rafael also wants to. He's very glad to be in part of this. To have joined the platform. And we're looking forward to keep in touch with you guys and share the work that we're doing. As I said, the offer is still there, Ms. RG. I will definitely send you the PDF,
Yes.
the digital copy of the book, and you know, so you can send it away to the rest of the participants.
That sounds great.
And definitely as soon as we are going to have court activists in New York City, and I will maybe the students that are in criminal justice or right would maybe they will be interested in joining that that type of activists in New York.
Yes, you let us
So
know.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time. I do want to point out that Muriel brought up some very true points about what goes on here even, right? The fires, the water, a lot. And yeah, I mean, people just don't know, and it's up to us and these kinds of forums to bring it all out. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie and Adelphi and Gottesman Libraries and Sing for Hope for sponsoring us and supporting us, and we'll all be in touch.
Before we go, if I may just add a little sentence here for a second or so.
Yep.
I just want to acknowledge what Mr. Navarrete also said.
Thank you.
El señor Navarrete, muchísimas gracias por sus palabras muy profundas en esa última frase que dijo usted, que no estamos acá solo para tener carros y cosas materiales, sino que tenemos que tener un propósito más profundo. So what Mr. Navarrete mentioned was that we're not here, and I want to emphasize this, not here for material things. We're not here, I mean, he meant it as humans are not here on earth to have cars, to have homes, to have X, Y, and Z that is material. We're here for a bigger purpose, and I couldn't leave the conversation without having that thought put in there. Keep that in mind as you are going along your life. You know, what is the purpose? Why are we here? And not only for you, but as a communal effort, correct? And that leads me also to Ms. Sanchez and Mr. Navarrete. One takeaway from today's conversation for our audience, that we have, you know, probably people that are igniting their artivism, their activism. And as we have been talking about in this conversation, it could be dangerous, right? As you mentioned, Ms. Sanchez, we're out of the context, right? We are seeing it from the outside, going in. But if we are in the context, what does that produce, right? How can it paralyze us to take action? Señor Navarrete, les digo que muchísimas gracias y que, como se había mencionado anteriormente, el punto también es compartir aquí una cosita como para que nos vayamos con algo más de todo lo que hemos discutido, ¿no? Que para nuestra audiencia, que apenas tal vez están empezando con ese fuego del artivismo, con el fuego del activismo, ¿verdad? ¿Cuál sería un consejo de parte de ustedes para aquellos que quieran involucrarse en este mundo, ¿no? Pero también pensando en cómo están en el contexto interno o el contexto externo. Y a lo que me refiero es que como nosotros con esta situación que estamos explorando hoy en día, estamos fuera del contexto, ¿no? Pero si estuviéramos en el pueblo donde está el alcalde corrupto, ¿cómo cambiaría eso nuestra acción? ¿Cuál sería el consejo que ustedes nos darían hoy en día para no tener miedo? Pararnos así como ustedes lo están haciendo, pelear por los derechos no solo de nosotros, sino de los demás, del ambiente, y tener esa conciencia humana que va a crear una sociedad futura mejor para todos.
Bueno, es fácil y sencilla. Recordemos que en el momento que nacemos, la muerte viene con nosotros.
It's a
Así de
very
fácil.
simple. Remember that when you are born, death comes with us. As simple as that.
Por lo tanto, creo que debemos hacer lo que corresponde perdiendo el miedo. Simplemente las barreras están en nosotros. Nosotros no ponemos límites. En el momento que nosotros abramos el horizonte y realmente hagamos lo que creemos y tengamos esa convicción, podemos hacerlo todo. Es decir, el mundo está ahí para tomarlo. Simplemente nos toca salir del montón.
Remember that the barriers are within, that you don't have to be stopped by fear. You put your own limits, and remember that the world
Oh, Carolina, you're fading.
Here I am again. Sorry. What about? Muchísimas gracias, señor Navarrete. Miss Sanchez, what is your takeaway for today? We can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I am speaking English poquito, small, mucho small. Muchos thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, thank you. Marvelous presentation, and I love your
Okay,
passion. It's so
my takeaway
powerful.
would be pretty much that we have one life to live. I think that I think that everybody should respond to their calling. I think the calling to make this place or this world a better place to live, it depends on what your calling is. I think not everybody, I think we should do whatever it's in our hands from the place that we are. Like not everybody has to do the same thing. Like not everybody has, like for example, there's like levels and levels, or not levels, but just different aspects. Like, and I think I think right now, like the fact that we're all here in this Zoom meeting, I think it wouldn't be possible if Miss RG wouldn't be doing it, if Carolina wouldn't be doing what she's doing, Stephanie's not doing so I think that everybody is doing what they're supposed to, they're responding to their calling. And I think that for the rest of the participants in this call, I would just say, find your place. Find your own standing, where you're good at. From that place, just give it out. And yes, sometimes we have to deal with the comfort zone. That's a little bit more challenging, a little bit, going to a next level. But yes, we have to start somewhere. And that's pretty much, and I want to thank you all. A big hug to all of you, and from Ecuador. And I hope, Ms. RG, to see you soon.
Yes.
And meet in person. I will definitely be back in January, after January 9th, my birthday, January 1st, 15 or something. Yes.
And keep us posted
Thank
on
you
the
so
progression of the murals. We love to put them on the Instagram as well, or share it with the group as well.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Yes.